This is the Stubborn German Podcast. I'm Kevin Oste, joined by the proprietor of the world-famous Stubborn German Brewing Company here in beautiful Waterloo, Illinois, Mr. Chris Ron.
Greetings.
Hi, Chris. And today we've got two more very special guests, some local people that are going to be really cool to chat with, Michael and Megan Pastor. Michael, Megan.
As well.
Hi.
How are you? Before we reveal too much about Michael and Megan,
Yes.
we're going to launch this show with yet another episode of the German word of the day.
Yeah, we have some business to take care of here. Okay. So the German word of the day, if you don't know, we're gonna talk. It's basically some German words that we're gonna assume that you aren't fluent in German.
No.
Okay, good. Then this will work great because you're just gonna guess and have no idea.
The
So,
ringers.
all right. So I do it on Google so that my terrible
always accurate.
pronunciation is not a factor. So here we go. It's Kuchenhart. Kuchenhart. I know it's a little noisy in here. It's hard to hear, but
Kuchenhart.
Kuchenhart.
Well, I think, to be courteous, we should allow our guests to guess first.
Does that mean you have no idea?
And that's...
Hugenhart.
Yeah, you want to take the wheel on this one?
Can you use it in a sentence?
I cannot.
No, definitely can't spell it.
Is it a curse word? Okay. It sounds like something my grandmother would say.
Is it
Sure.
Well,
sure.
since it's kind of a pizza-themed podcast, I'm going to go with pizza. I'm going to say pepperoni.
Pepperoni. I like it. Okay.
Wow, good thinking.
guess.
Yeah.
Obviously incorrect.
No, I mean, it's a stab in the dark here. I'm going to say it has something to do with beer.
Beer. Okay. Something to do with beer and pepperoni. We have two guesses. Kevin?
Is it Kuchen or Kuchen?
Kuchen.
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 All right. So
Does that really matter?
It does.
Oh, okay.
When you're completely non-fluent like me, it makes all the difference.
That's what I...
So I'm going to say it is a Kuchen, if I'm not mistaken, is regarding baking and cooking.
Oh.
So I'm going to say hothead.
Hothead.
I want to see where
So
this
it
goes.
is a curse
I
word.
think you might have been on the right track at one point there, and then you said hothead.
Baking. So
Well, like I said, I got to provide the opposite end of the spectrum
I like
so that
it.
this
Okay.
doesn't sound like it's fake.
Well, at the end of the show, I will reveal exactly what Kuchenhart means.
Nice.
Suspense.
secret.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we are joined by Michael and Megan, and they are the proprietors of a local establishment called Pie Hard. And Michael, Megan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Pie Hard is all about?
Well, we came up with the idea back in 2016. Michael was working as a chef at the Four Seasons in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
And he had an opportunity, we both had the opportunity to just do something on our own, and we knew that we didn't want to jump headfirst into a restaurant. We didn't have the money for it, and we definitely just didn't have the knowledge for it. So we thought a food truck would be kind of a smaller, easier way to get our foot in the door. He's been working in restaurants for a decade, so it was, an idea that we came up with together, and we just wanted to have some fun with it. And so we started off as a food truck before we built the brick and mortar here in Waterloo.
All right, I have a couple of thoughts. First of all, Chris, you're doing a great job of getting guests that are far overqualified. Mr. Four Seasons over here.
I know, right?
Yeah. First I screw up the word, and now I need to stand outside. But so the food truck now morphed into restaurant. Tell me, Michael, about the food. What are we talking about?
So we basically had the idea to kind of mend Neapolitan-style pizza and kind of Americanize it just a little bit, too, at the same time. So we do straight wood-fired Neapolitan-style pizzas. We try to do everything from scratch as we possibly can, which is how I was taught. I'm classically trained. I've worked for a lot of great people, was lucky enough to do so. Throughout St. Louis and Chicago. Came back down here and met Megan. And then things kind of snowballed from there as we found ourselves in a position, like she said, to do something for ourselves for the first time. But food-wise, we do a variety of things now. I mean, since COVID happened, it kind of changed the game for everybody, and obviously Chris knows what I'm talking about here.
Oh, yeah.
So we do a variety of different things. We still do 10-inch wood-fired pizzas. We do some traditional style, and we do some kind of crazy little concoctions that I come up with to keep people interested also that are a little bit more adventurous in eating. And then we do chicken wings, we do duck wings, we make all our sauces, we make all our toppings, we make all our custards from scratch as well. And we kind of like to mix up the flavors there too, from your straight vanilla bean to we just did a pineapple ghost pepper custard a few weeks ago. That it was a little adventurous for most people, but it's a lot of fun to eat.
People usually like to just taste that and not get a whole scoop of it.
So it didn't last long, but it was still a lot of fun. But we do French toast right now. We have New York cheesecake. We have
that cheesecake is so good.
Strawberry balsamic.
And these are all custard flavors.
These are all custard flavors. Yes.
Yeah. So we do all of our own. They make all their own frozen custard, and over the winter, in the dead middle of COVID, we decided to just scrap the whole pizza thing and do pop-ups for a week. We just kind of wanted to have some fun with our menu a little bit and bring some new stuff to Waterloo. So we did a seafood pop-up for a couple weeks.
It was Dive Hard?
It was Dive Hard.
So
we did
a lobster and clam shack for 2 weeks.
And then we did sandwiches. We were Rye Hard.
Rye Hard.
We did boozy desserts, Spiked Hard. And then for Valentine's Day, we did a Valentine's Day pop-up. We were Dine Hard. Before we took a couple weeks off, and so sandwiches were a hit.
Fine dining, right?
So
that was
fine
back to
dining.
my old roots of
So
fine
he's
dining,
been doing fine
which
dining
was a lot
for a
of
long
fun
time.
for me too.
Nice.
So we added sandwiches to the menu because sandwiches were. It's a sandwich pop-up was probably our most popular, so we just decided to add them to our lunch menu too.
We doubled our menu size after COVID. It was basically 3 months of research and development that I just did with basically I had no staff. My sous chef was on maternity leave. I had to let a couple people go, not because of COVID, because they were terrible. But it needed, let's just be honest, it needed to happen. So, but it left me to challenge myself and us to rise to the occasion of what people wanted in Waterloo to see what would kind of stick and I guess basically brings us to where we are today of we offer sandwiches at lunch. We offer slices now at lunch. We do 16
Slices are taking off.
Slices take off quite a bit.
Nice.
We try to run as many specials as we can to keep people interested. Here for Cinco de Mayo, we just did churro ice cream sandwiches with goat's milk caramel.
I heard you had a ton of those left over.
Oh, yes, right. Yes, everyone hated them. They were terrible.
You sold out in.
We sold out at
hour?
lunch in 15 minutes, and then at dinner by 4:30.
That's crazy.
It's just like we wish we could make more of them, but we only have so much room in our restaurant. It used to be a Subway, so we only have so much refrigeration room. We only have so much freezer room. So we'd love to have more food if we could, but our menu is right now maxed out.
We also have a back of the house staff of 3 people. Okay. Including myself. So we do what we can. And we're lucky to have the staff we have. They're great. They work hard for us. And
you have a great staff.
And yes, they're tremendous. We really are lucky to have them, and we try to make sure that they know that they're very appreciated as well.
Sure. So this is great. I have lots of thoughts and questions. I am noticing some parallels to Chris and your brewery. Well, because you've got a true enthusiast behind the wheel that loves to create and offer things that are a little bit off the beaten path, perhaps, and give people different experiences.
And that's what I think. From the minute I met Michael, it was kind of like an instant, broship. There, it was just like, he could nerd out over food, and I'm just like, I have no idea what he's talking about, but this guy knows his stuff and is into it just like I do about beer, and I do the same thing, and he probably looks at me like, what are you saying? And
I follow him through his enthusiasm, but half the time it's like I'm like Rain Man. I have no clue really until I see the numbers. But
smile and drink.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and smile and eat.
Smile and not,
So another parallel is being here in Waterloo in the community. You're basically right around the corner from this place and down the block a little bit.
Literally down the alley, you can see the back of the building from here.
Yeah. So your clientele is very similar. It's a lot of locals. I'm sure you get people that come from far away as well.
Absolutely.
But what I find interesting is, and Chris is a little bit more, in some ways, contextual, because this is, a fairly German, historic community. And it's not like there's a lot of people from Germany here today, but the heritage is there. So a little bit of an ace in a hole to kind of cater to them. But when you step back and think of a fairly small rural community. We're not very far from St. Louis, but this is an agrarian, kind of rural community. To be able to create things that are not your standard,
Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes, right?
Right.
And to know that everybody digs it, and to use a bad pun, they're hungry for it. And
we were nervous whenever we decided to, because we lived in St. Louis. We met in Soulard, and so we were trying to decide if we wanted to move back over to Waterloo, where I grew up, or if we wanted to start this in St. Louis. And I mean, there's a new pizza place coming up every single week in St. Louis. So we knew also the competition that we had over here, and we also just wanted to bring, like you said, something different that people aren't used to over here. But we definitely get both crowds. We get, the younger kids that want to try the street corn, that want to try the Brussels sprout, that want to try the pineapple ghost pepper, and then we get, what we call the church crowd that comes in and, just wants plain cheese or pepperoni, and, it's kind of harder to win them over, but we love when we win them over, because when we get people to step outside the box and try something that they've never tried before, and they walk out the door and say it was great and they'll be back, that's what we're aiming for.
You don't make it because it's bad.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If I can gain their trust, I know I'll win them over.
Yeah.
If they trust me to just say, hey, let me make something for you. If you don't like it, it's on me. And at the end of the day, they love it. Then that's the satisfaction I get out of it.
Sure. Yeah, and that's kind of where I started with their menu. Is just like, well, I know Michael, and I know he's into what he does, just like I'm into what I do. And if it's on his menu, it's not there because it's bad. It's there because he thinks it belongs and is delicious for what it is. So
Thank you.
I have no. I mean, I'll order anything on the menu, and I do. I try to change it up. I don't have one favorite pizza. People ask like, well, what should I get there? I'm like, just whatever. I mean, if it sounds good, buy it. It's going to be great. So I don't know. I don't have a favorite anything. It's just. I often just get whatever is new or what's the the current seasonal or whatever. So you've got street corn or
Street corn, yeah. We just for Cinco de Mayo we added our street corn pizza, which was one of our original food truck pizzas. It's just your typical street corn pizza, but
your typical street corn.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Hold on.
I tripped over 9 of them on my way here.
Yeah.
Right.
You explained the street corn better than I.
So we took something that's starting to gain more familiarity here. Even in the Midwest here is, elote, which is street corn, and it's generally corn that's fire grilled. There's some sort of mayonnaise on it, garlic, lime, chili powder. And for us, we just kind of we decided to make a pizza out of it. So we fire roast fresh, Illinois corn off, and then we toss it in smoked tomato aioli, and then we add a little bit of garlic, lime, sour cream to it, white cheddar cheese from actually creamery, I think that's in Iowa. And we a little bit of red onion, and then we top it with herb salsa verde that we make after
We
that.
brought one for you guys, so you
Yeah,
guys
there's
can
actually
have
one.
some.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Sorry to hear that.
The pizza is gone.
Now, pizza for, I'm going to say the majority of the population is kind of a commodity food. I mean, people love it, and they're passionate about it, but it's something that you got to be a little adventurous to want to veer off the standards that everybody are used to.
Absolutely,
And I did pick up that you guys do still offer, some of the standards as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a build your own.
But it's interesting to me to come from your background and to be at Four Seasons to land on making pizzas.
Well, I guess the idea behind, and that's where we kind of started when we started discussing, where we want to invest our time in, but also that we kind of made a list of things that will never be unpopular.
There you go.
And that's kind of where we landed. So the fun part about fine dining for me was always being creative and being able to, but you're always at the liberty of the one percenters in that situation. And for me, I try to take that idea of pizza because everyone loves pizza, right? No one's going to say, hey, pizza sucks.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. So we wanted to take the ideas of, okay, well, I have a fine dining background. Let's make some things that are really fun for me and see if people will trust me and dig them. And then also offer those same, comforting ingredients that everyone is used to, but still my ingredients my way. And that's where we kind of landed with everything. And once we got to, I guess, the first day on the truck, we sold 188 pies that day. So it wasn't a bad day for us.
We were also about a week in. We never had a build your own pie on the menu. We just had our own specialty pies. And after about a week, we were so damn tired of hearing people ask to build their own pie. We just wanted people to trust our specialty pies, but we knew at that point that we had to also cater to the masses. And
Sure.
people want to build their own pie, so we just added it, and it's probably people still get our specialties, but I would say our build your own is.
Oh, people still build their own anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that at all. For me, I at the beginning I was a little naive and thought, yeah, people will try it. It's just not for everybody, That's the kind. You're always a slave to the consumer at some point, right? But not that there's anything wrong with that either. If someone wants a cheese pizza, I'm happy to make it for him. Still, it's not a problem.
Yeah, we did a recent episode on bourbon, and Chris kind of cringed at me when I said, "Yeah, what soda would you pour in this?" But he said, "But if that's what you want to do, come here, great. You can do that. That's all right."
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
There's that face.
I'm over it. I'm over it. Let's not bring it back up.
All right. So, a question for you as a chef, not to oversimplify, but in art, you have a color wheel that you kind of know what colors are going to kind of go together. And it's not necessarily a cheat sheet. It's something you learn. But as you are developing some of these ideas, it's because of your background and training that you already are kind of preloaded with things that might work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how much is there? Well, let's just try this.
Well, there's always, before I put anything on the menu, there's always some R&D behind it. There's always some research and development. But for me, you learn a lot in the field, but also I have an entire library of books to reference from other restaurants, from other chefs, from places that, New York, Chicago, Singapore, you name it. You got to pull ideas from somewhere, right? But I guess the first book I ever bought was called The Flavor Bible, and it just matches things to eat that literally go together well.
Really?
And from that point forward, that was the first book I ever bought, and I was 21 years old, I think. I still have it. It's beat to hell, but
that's how my first beer recipe book is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
it's the same way,
just
right?
notes
Tattered.
and tags sticking out of
I've got
it.
a couple autographs from famous brewers that are in there.
So you got to start. You got to start somewhere.
And those will both be in glass cases in
Yeah.
their respective establishments at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
But for me, and then all of a sudden it's just there. It's like a catalog, right? Then you're like, hey, I know fennel and orange go together really well. Let's do this, or goat cheese and beets and herbs. Let's play with that a little bit. It just, once you, for me, it's you kind of see something and then you start piecing things together. Like we used to do, most restaurants do this that are more fine dining, or even if they're larger restaurants, they do what's called staff meal. And you just kind of go in the walk-in cooler, see what you have lying around, and you make a meal for the entire staff that day. And I used to have to do that every single day. Just walk in, what do we have a plethora of, and just kind of pick things together and make a meal for everyone. Everyone sits down and has a nice meal together as a staff.
I bet you learn a lot that way.
You definitely do. But like one day there were a plethora of mussels, and they're about to go bad. So I saw mussels, and I thought instantly of beer.
That was my nickname, by the way, in high
Mussels?
school.
Mussels,
no,
yeah.
plethora of mussels.
Oh,
Yeah.
plethora of mussels. Oasty.
So then I instantly thought of beer, and then I thought of mustard and tarragon, and I made this big dish and everyone kind of had these baguettes to dip it in, and that was our staff meal for the day. It's just something easy, simple, but still delicious. And then,
how cool.
Then you kind of just keep going from there as you go throughout your career, and all of a sudden it's almost like you can't shut it off.
Sure.
Which she knows too well about.
Yeah.
You can't see her face right now, but
It sounds like there's a story there.
She's just like, I just want some breakfast, Michael.
right, exactly.
Can you just cook an egg?
So in the operating routine of the restaurant, we know you're the guy experimenting with the goat's milk and fennel and all the rest of it. So Megan, what is your primary role over there?
I am a mom mainly right now because we have a 16-month-old. So
congratulations! And that's a huge full-time job.
So he was I was 9 months pregnant when we finished the restaurant. So he's been around this entire process throughout the build and everything.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So it's been harder for me to be in the restaurant as much as I can, but I'm basically just all administrative. I do all the paperwork. I do all the fun paperwork, all the media posts, all the Instagram stuff, Facebook stuff.
She doesn't give herself enough credit for it, by the way. What she does is basically she's the jack of all trades and fills in anything. She'll bartend, she serves, she'll get everything taken care of legally wise. So I'm not sitting there wondering if I can serve a beer.
Sure.
She does quite a bit more than she gives herself credit for. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
I don't go in the kitchen though, unless it's to.
Well, you do.
unless it's to
I mean,
eat.
you make a salad. And,
Yeah, I'll make a salad here and there.
Again, another parallel to this place with Chris and Tammy. And,
Yeah,
you know,
I was going to mention. Yeah, Tammy's the same way. I don't really have much of a title or whatever. But
I just do these 900 things every day.
Right, exactly.
All
right,
of this
exactly.
other
And I'm like,
stuff.
I don't know how you do that. I just cook food all day.
Right,
Like,
right.
you know,
I just
that's-
make the beer. She does literally everything else.
Right.
Yeah, and it's the same in my business with my wife. She does. She runs the show. She's operations manager. She does it all, and then I just kind of interject what I interject.
Yeah.
You said the word Chicago a couple times.
Sure.
And I grew up in the Chicago area, and of course, again, getting back to pizza, there are locality snobberies,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So
What?
anybody knows if they've spoken to anybody from the East Coast that New York pizza is the best in the world, and just take all
Of
the rest
course,
and throw
right.
it down the toilet now. And then if you're in Chicago, all you do is throw stones at New York, saying you guys don't know how to make a pie. And
What is it? It's deep dish in Chicago.
Well, that's
right?
the other
Deep issue, but there's another issue that I'm sure you're probably going to bring up.
Right. So the deep dish is another one where if you're not from Chicago, you identify Chicago with deep dish, which is certainly there. The Uno's, Due's, Giordano's, Gino's East.
Well, that's the only one I know of.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the
Chicago.
reality is,
I'm on the same page as he is, by the way.
yeah, kind of the daily everyman pizza is actually a thin crust. And it's not like a
Tavern style.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
like a micro thin
Yeah.
paper. It's almost a little pretzel-y in
Yep.
consistency. Right? That's a food word, pretzel-y.
Pretzel-y. I like
I'm
pretzel-y.
learning.
It's not German at all either.
Yeah,
No.
right. So generally, it's thin. It's cut in squares. The little round corners are the best,
Yeah.
with the crust. And every street corner in the city's got one of these pizza places that specializes, and they're all a little bit different, And if you want one, a lot of times you can't even articulate the difference, but tonight I wanted the Agostino's for sure, and
Yeah.
that's just going to satisfy it. Now, when I moved here, actually, I lived in LA for a while, and I couldn't get that style anywhere in LA.
On the West Coast, it's rare.
And
Yeah.
actually, what I found on the West Coast was a decent Brooklyn style. Believe
Sure,
it or not,
sure.
the Italian family, the Valentino.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Valentino family opened a place in the 60s, and they're still making a traditional Brooklyn. And I never really liked New York style until I had that, and I was like, okay, well, this is a good surrogate, and I expanded my palate. Then I come to the St. Louis area, and I learned about Provel cheese, and I learned about
Michael's favorite.
Oh, my God.
kind of thing. Yeah? And
Here we go.
It's a love or hate, right?
Exactly.
It is a love or
Exactly.
hate. I grew up on it. He didn't. So
So,
it's-
can you explain to us what this cheese is? A little bit about the
It's not
history.
it's not cheese.
And why,
It's not
why do
cheese.
these animals keep eating it?
It's not cheese. It's a very processed thing. It's actually kind of difficult to describe
Michael and
for me.
Kevin just gave each other knuckles.
Yes, exactly. I don't even understand how it's on everything though. They put it on salads. I don't get it.
They advertise that they put it on everything.
Right, exactly. And people love it though.
Well, and it's great if you do.
Right, I'm
if-
not judging. It's just
No,
me personally.
no.
It's a personal hatred I have against it. A vendetta, if you will.
He eats emos. Don't let him
I'll
lie.
eat it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, Emos is obviously a big name around here, and if I get an Emos, I'll specify mozzarella. I didn't grow up with the Provel. It's just not in my.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
you can.
you can, and it's good. It's a very
It's not a bad pie by any means. It's
No,
just the
not at all.
Provel is not my forte.
Does it even need to be refrigerated?
Technically, I don't think so. At least for a while.
Then it ain't cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's like Kraft singles though. But I love Kraft singles.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's,
sure.
it's a double-edged sword. I just it's hard to differentiate the fact that you don't like this, but you still love that because I grew up with it too, right? Everyone had that grilled cheese,
Yeah.
but I didn't grow up with the Provel. So
Right. So, do you sell a Provel pie? Is
I
it
do
part
not.
of- never
I do
did.
not.
Interesting.
I do
I
not.
thought the Provel might get him fired up.
Hey, I had to do it just because
I like it.
I'm in the same boat, and luckily at my home, my wife isn't necessarily a huge Provel fan. She kind of take it or leave it either way. So if we don't get it, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it would be different if I was with somebody that was flying that Provel flag and had to put it on everything.
Oh, it's
Right.
blasphemy.
Yeah. We'd have a problem.
Right.
So a friend of mine came down to visit from Chicago, and he's in his 60s. He's been up there his whole life, and we were talking about this. And he's a foodie. He's a brilliant barbecue smoker. Makes everything. And I said, "Have you ever had Provel cheese?" And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, it's a local thing." And So he went and bought a pound over at Schneider's.
A pound.
And proceeded to try to put this on like absolutely everything that he owned. And he was calling me. He's like, "Yeah, it doesn't go good on ribs, you know."
Found another food it doesn't work.
Right.
That was our friend Eric.
Okay.
You know well, he comes here.
Yep. That's great.
So learning about how you've kind of evolved the menu into the sandwich side a little bit.
Sure.
I'm a huge sandwich fan, so tell me about what you guys are doing.
I am too. So for us, I think what we try to do is we try to think of the classics and just make it our own way. So, we put a French dip on the menu. We use prime rib with that. We roast it off ourselves, low and slow, for a few, probably I think like 3 hours, to where it's a nice, like almost rare. Because we're going to fire it in the wood-fired oven after that, too. So it's going to cook a second time.
Nice. And
then we make a bone marrow and caramelized onion aioli that goes on the sandwich as well. A few slices of provolone. And then it gets a bone marrow au jus sauce to dip it in also.
And you can just drink that stuff.
It's
we
just
do.
gold. It's liquid gold.
Insanely good. So good. Do yourself a favor and get that prime rib sandwich the next time you're able to at Pie Hard. It's so good.
Yeah, people usually aren't disappointed with that one.
Yeah.
But again, we kind of just that's I think our goal is to put something on the menu that people know and then wow them with the way we do it.
The details.
So
the
we
details.
knew we needed a good everyday cold sandwich. We had a BLT, but we wanted to also do something more familiar, so we added the turkey club, but we made it a turkey pesto club. So it has pesto sauce and fresh mozzarella.
Yeah, fresh mozzarella. We do. We actually make a vegan bacon syrup that we put on it. So people that don't even like meat, we actually do top pizzas with it as well. But the turkey we do. Wait,
I'm sorry. That took a second to stick.
The vegan bacon syrup.
Bacon syrup.
It tastes like bacon,
I'm
but
trying
it's
to figure
not.
out what animal this is that doesn't consist of meat.
Right. That was a complex one.
What kind of pig is that?
Yeah, right. That was a complex one.
We put it on everything. We put it on our peanut butter custard too.
Nice.
Oh, I'm down with the flavor. I was just wondering, what was the genesis?
The idea behind it was we actually use it on one of our vegetarian pies, which is we call it the Kurt Brussels.
So only because of its attitude.
Yes, correct.
It's Kurt.
It was originally the Kurt Mussel because we did a mussel pie once.
That's true.
And I was so obsessed with the name that I wanted to do something else with it.
Yeah. So my sous chef had the idea to we make a mustard bechamel sauce, which is like a classic cream sauce, French cream sauce, and we use Dijon and whole grain mustard in it, and that's the base. And then we shave Brussels sprouts fresh, touch it with a little bit of salt. It gets white cheddar cheese, and then when it comes out of the oven, it gets the bacon syrup, so it's still vegetarian, not vegan. But if someone wants to add it to a pie. That is, because basically most of our pies are vegan anyway besides the cheese. So if someone wants to add it to that, they're more than welcome to. So we have another pizza called The Island where it has candied bacon on it. Frequently now we have people that don't get the bacon and just get the bacon
Just
syrup
get the syrup on it?
Yes, exactly.
Do you offer
put it on our
those?
salad.
Do you offer those people health plans that have counseling?
I don't.
The ones that turn down the candied bacon?
Right, exactly. I mean, I guess against my religion also, but... you got to, again, please the masses as much as you can.
No, I get it. And I like the fact that it's an inclusive menu that caters to maybe some vegan, definitely vegetarian.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
We try to make sure that, we're not forgetting anybody at the same time. If you're ordering a BLT, there's not much I can do for you there. But we highlight the tomato more than we do the bacon at that point, actually. So
it's an LT.
We make
an LT.
It's a BLTTT.
Yeah, we make a tomato jam, actually with cherry tomatoes, and then we do a smoked tomato aioli. We do fresh beef or heirloom tomatoes from a local farm. And then a little bit of Bib lettuce and Texas toast.
There's a local couple that comes in every single week and gets 2 BLTs because they won't share with each other. So
that's very true.
They get their own sandwiches.
And then we toast the Texas toast in bacon fat also.
Nice.
So we just add as much layering of flavor as we can. But I think the tomato is underrated, so that's what we try to highlight more. And the bacon itself, actually, we candy with at Chris's beer, actually. So we use a stout beer to glaze the bacon.
Nice. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, what I'm gathering here is that when you decide to spice up traditional dishes and make your own stuff, again, I lived in Southern Cal for a while, and out there it felt like sometimes the chef was like making stuff horrible on purpose and then like shaming you into eating it. So if you didn't like it, it was your fault. But it sounds like the choices you're making, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's going to be awesome.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not just exotic to be exotic, which is, we've had this conversation about beer.
Yeah, exactly. I have nothing to add. Actually, I mean, we did. It's just silly. Like, just make good food, make good beer.
Yeah.
That's the idea, right? It's that you want it to be friendly. You don't want it to be pretentious, in my opinion. And trust me, I got told to change my job a few times in the Four Seasons by guests because they weren't happy. Because that's a thing.
Yeah.
So you got to understand your clientele. But the thing is like that's the type of food I want to eat too. It's not just about, I'm not trying to press anybody. I mean, I am, I guess, at the same point. But it's something that I would sit down and eat and enjoy, and I would be happy to pay for. And that's the idea that I want to spread.
Yep, perfect. And so, talking about the melding of the food and the beer, we've got some cans here.
Yeah.
That have both your logos on them.
Yeah, what happened there?
I don't know.
It was an accident.
So, how did this all start, actually? I mean, Michael, I think you came to me one day and said, we need to do a beer collaboration kind of thing, and I think it all started. Well, you go ahead.
I started picking your brain. I'm pretty sure. I didn't because I didn't know how much time you had. Honestly,
he said, "Hey, Chris, what beer can I eat?"
Right, exactly. And I just kind of had this idea of melding two popular beers together, or I should say styles of beer together, and the flavor profiles that I thought would go well with our pizza sauce specifically. And me and Chris just started brainstorming, and that led to this. The Hans Lager here, which we kind of made our own title up, pretty much here.
I think so, as far as what the style actually is.
Yeah. I mean, describe
it. I would call it an India Pale Lager, so kind of like an IPA, but it's an India Pale Lager. So it's got lager yeast. The yeast doesn't add. It's more neutral. Lager yeast is going to be more neutral, not going to add any other kind of crazy fruity esters or anything like that. And we wanted more tighter control of the fruit that we did have going on in there. So we used hops that kind of really accentuated some citrus, some berry kind of things going on. But then Michael said he really wanted to be apricot forward because that's a flavor that went really well with his sauce.
Correct.
He makes that sauce. From scratch. So he knows his sauce and he knows what goes good with it and goes well with it. And we put some apricot puree in every batch, and so it's got a nice nose of apricot. And when you eat it with the pizza, I mean, he's not wrong. It goes really well together.
It's pretty special together, I think. That apricot and tomato was kind of seems a bit strange to people at first, I think, but it really marries together very well. At the end of the day, tomato was fruit, honestly.
I thought he was crazy when he said this. Is that really going to go together? But hey, you're the boss.
Yeah, well, I mean, the proof is when you try it.
And
correct. Yeah. Proof's in the pudding here, and Chris knocked it out of the park. I think we maybe modified it a tiny bit the first or the second batch, maybe.
Yeah, I think I text you every time we make a new
batch. Every time you make it, you say, you want
to
to change anything? I'm like, no.
What do you want to do?
Please do not do that.
I'll quit texting that, and I'll just assume that it's good, and you tell me if we need to do anything different.
I mean, Megan, how much honestly do we drink of the own product here that we serve?
We don't drink anything else.
Anything else?
Besides Hans Lager.
Well, when you can engineer the beer specifically for your palate,
we made our perfect beer for us per se, and so it's perfect.
That's really cool.
So sometimes I'll actually be like almost out of the beer. We'll be on like the last keg, and so the story here is that we don't put this beer on draft here at our bar. So it's only in cans, and you can buy a can of it here. You could drink it here out of the can. I mean, we'll give you a glass, but it's not on draft. It's just canned, and then so the only two places you can buy it is here and at Pie Hard. And we'll can off of that keg. So we'll do a keg at a time. And we'll be on the last one, and I always kind of send Michael a message like, hey, you might want to find something else to drink this week while we're waiting for the next batch to get done.
That definitely happens quite often.
I'm glad he just kept ours in cans, though, because that's all we offer at our restaurant. We don't have a draft system. We just do canned beer, so it worked out perfect.
Yeah. So tell me about, you obviously serve this at the restaurant. What else can people get there?
So we have we didn't have enough room. Our restaurant is very, very small, so our bar is even smaller. We only have 4 chairs at it. We didn't have enough room for a big draft system, so we knew we needed to do just as many cans as we could. So we have craft beers. The only domestic we have is Busch Light and Budweiser.
Budweiser, correct.
We have 16-ounce cans. They're all from breweries either in Waterloo, Chicago, or St. Louis. Currently, we don't have any sort of room for liquor, so we do canned cocktails. We do Cutwater out of San Diego. They have vodka mules, whiskey mules. Right now,
they're
doing
very popular.
Very,
actually,
they're pretty
Just
tasty.
add-
If you didn't know that it came out of a can, you could fool some people into maybe not Chris, but you could fool some people.
Just add ice, though, right?
Yeah. We
it.
have a good amount of wine. Not a good amount, but we just again, we don't have a lot of room, so we wanted to get one good wine of each kind. So we have a good Pinot.
we have basically
a good
the same variety.
Chardonnay.
Yeah, the same like every grape varietal that people were normalized with. We carry, and we handpick all the beers and wines ourselves. It's what we think goes well with our food. Again, so even if you order a red or a Pinot Noir or a Pinot Grigio, either one of those is going to be just fine with either one of the pies you order. It's going to be basically kind of neutral and kind of cleanse your palate a little bit, and then you kind of want to keep going. And that was the idea behind the beer that Chris made for us as well, is the same way, is that it's very refreshing. It'll cut through the richness of the cheese, but the fruit pairs well with the sauce, and the biscuit malt obviously goes well with the crust.
Right.
And that was the idea, is just that you just keep wanting to kind of go back to each one over and over again.
That was another feather in the cap of making it a lager instead of an ale, because a lager, little higher carbonation, a little more crisp and clean, and that crispness is what's in that higher carbonation is what kind of those CO2 bubbles literally scrub your palate clean, and then you're ready, you resets, and you're ready for that next bite of food. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Science.
Science.
Yes.
Yeah, right on.
Science that can get you drunk.
So I'm drunk on science. I'm definitely not the world's authority, but I'm not really aware of any other beer that was engineered to go with a pizza or a specific food style.
Not around here, at least, that I know of. I mean, there's plenty of great breweries around St. Louis, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But, when I didn't grow up here, my wife did, so whenever we first moved here back in 2016, we started, getting to know Chris and Tammy and drinking his beers, and I... from that point forward, I knew that if we were going to ever do anything like that Chris was going to be the guy I'm going to give a call to. And that's because I trusted what he did, and I knew how passionate he was about it, and I knew the two of us would make something special, and I think that's what we did.
I mean, and I may be completely wrong because I'm not a chef and I'm not a brewmaster, but I think, the majority of the time, if you're brewing a beer, you're focusing on the beer, and you're not necessarily thinking, "Oh, I'm going to make this to go with that."
Oh, right, sure.
And as a
Maybe not
chef,
necessarily.
to think of, well, hey, we need this to go with this, I think is a wide horizon, and I think that's pretty cool.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We try to, we're pretty laid back folks here, but we try to think of everything we can to make to create an experience for people, really, because that's what you're selling, right?
Sure.
You're selling an experience. You're not just selling food. You're not just selling beer. You want to feel at home wherever you are, wherever you go out, and that's what we try to do. It's comforting. No one feels like they didn't want to be there. It's not stuffy. It's not the right crowd. And I think that people in Waterloo especially really appreciate that.
Well, people in general appreciate that.
Right, yeah, sure.
So at this point, we're Chris and I are doing a little tasting.
Yes.
That's why I've been so quiet. Being a little early.
Yeah. So what
This is the
am
queen,
I about
right?
to
Yes,
dive
that's the
into?
queen. So it's just your straight margarita pizza. We call it the queen because it was actually invented for Queen Margherita of Italy. But it's just our red sauce, fresh basil, and our cheese blend that we do as well.
Josh Danny.
It's so good.
Thank you very much.
So good. The basil is just, it pops.
No, we do a little bit of olive oil on there as well. It's Greek. Don't tell anyone that I told you that. My Italian chef that I used to work for at the Four Seasons would kill me. But
Nice.
He works for a French restaurant now.
yeah,
so
he actually
you
cooks
can't-
French food right now.
that's
So
There you go.
So I'm literally eating the pizza with his red sauce on it that is supposed to be paired with Hans Lager, and I'm
Correct.
drinking the beer, and yeah, they go together. So not like this was the first time this has happened or anything, but but I can tell you that as of right now, it definitely goes together.
Yeah, a little eating dead air there.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I'll try to fill it in, guys.
That's outstanding. Well, okay, maybe you can by telling us a little bit about the current situation of dining at your facility.
Well, for us, we, ironically enough, when we were just literally getting done with construction last March, in fact, we were just starting to hire staff. We
hired one girl.
One girl, and then she's my sous chef to this day. And COVID hit, and we took 2 months to figure out what we were going to do, basically. And our 1-year anniversary is coming up here in the next couple of weeks, the 21st, so it's coming up quickly. And we basically did to-go pies and custard and salads, and we had for 9 months straight, basically. And we had a good. I can't complain. We had a great response from Waterloo. They really stood by us, and we thanked them tremendously for what we did. And then during the wintertime, especially like we touched on earlier, we started doing these pop-ups because basically we took a little time off to figure out, how we're going to get through the winter, and we wanted to stay relevant, basically, with everybody. And that's when we started doing all these pop-ups of things that basically aren't in Waterloo at the moment.
Being a new restaurant.
Being a new restaurant every 2 weeks.
Nobody knew who we were.
Yeah.
And we were shut down immediately, so we had to do something to get people's attention a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so good.
I know. Yeah, let's end this show so we can keep eating.
Well, on that note, I know our listeners are probably salivating, or they should be at this point. Where can somebody find out more about Pie Hard and see the menu and all the rest of it?
Our website is basically a one-stop shop. That's where you're going to find our menu. During COVID, a lot of people went digital, so we were finding with Michael changing the menu as often as he does. We were spending a lot printing out menus. So everybody was kind of used to going online for digital menus, so we just went that route. Our menu is online. You can get gift cards, our hours, our address, pictures. I just updated it, so all the pictures of everything on our menu is online. I keep our Facebook, our Instagram updated, and now that events are happening again, we'll start making Facebook events again. I responded to your Stubborn Fest going, and I think that's the first event I've responded going to in over a year. So
awesome.
We're excited to actually start doing things.
That's great. It's very refreshing to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go out and do something.
Yeah.
What's the website address?
Piehardpizza.com.
Can you spell that? Because
Pie Hard, like the movie Die Hard, Piehard, pizza.com.
Awesome. Well, this was quite a treat. Thank you so much, Michael and Megan, for joining us.
Thanks for bringing the
Thank
pies.
you so much for having us, guys.
And
really
now
fun.
we're all going to be humiliated by getting the word of the day wrong. Chris, what do you got?
Here we are. Okay. The word of the day, the German word of the day, is Kuchenhart. And Kuchenhart, you were all wrong.
Of course.
Naturally.
Used to it.
Who said? Oh, you said baking, right?
Yeah.
So
Cooking,
you were
right.
cooking. Yeah.
Cooking, yeah.
So yeah, you were close there. It means pie hard in German.
Oh my gosh, it was such a gimme.
I know.
Low hanging
It's
fruit.
right on your
Of course I never picked up on that, right?
hidden in
This is
plain
why I cook
sight.
food, guys. This is why I cook food.
Wow. Yeah. Very
Kuchenhart,
nice.
pie hard.
Yeah. Well.
If you would have said the French word of the day, I would have gotten it.
Oh, so
No, I wouldn't have.
I'm
Right.
waiting. One of these
Yes.
times we're going to have a guest on, and they're going to speak fluent German and be like,
I hope
That's
so.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
at some point that should
So
happen.
the listeners.
Yeah, if we were Mandarin, I would have picked up on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, this was really great. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much
Absolutely.
again.
Thank you.
If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button, because then you'll be notified every time a new one comes out. And who knows, you might meet some cool people like Michael and Megan. And Chris is pretty cool too.
Oh gosh, thanks.
I take
You're
the
cool
back.
as well, Kevin.
I take the back seat on this one.
Oh,
Proud.
sure.
And share it with your friends. If you think somebody who maybe likes to eat, share this episode with them. If they've never been to Pie Hard, they're missing out. They need to check it out. And I appreciate learning so much more new stuff about your place. It's not just a pizza place.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, right on. All right, well, the last thing we do is have a quick little toast on our way out of the show. So for Mr. Chris Ron and Michael and Megan Pastor and Jared, our producer in the corner there, Prost.
Prost.